Alright guys, welcome back to the Upgrade Randomizer Challenge, episode 13. But prior to that, I'm going to go over some things that I briefly talked about yesterday with the new Season 9 DLC vehicles. These are some things that I actually did some research on off stream, and also I collected some information from the SnowRunner community Discord page on the PTS discussion. So all those individuals that have been looking into the game files in depth, and also vehicle models, thank you guys so much for all that information. It really helps me, especially because I'm not super great with looking into files, terrain textures, all that other stuff and all that information. I only know a little bit of stuff how to navigate through those files. So thank you guys on the PTS discussion on the SnowRunner Discord. It is awesome. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually go through and get back in here. I'm on the PTS server. We will start the campaign here in 1 second. I'm actually going to talk about some things that could be good for these vehicles and also some things that could be bad pending changes that are coming to the game, because as we know, the PTS, it's going to change. It always does. From initial start to, when it closes, and even to the start of the actual retail version of the game. So let's take a look first at the Dairy Special 15 Charlie 177. Now, I briefly just breezed through this the other day as like a first look. However, off stream, I went through and looked at some things, game files, and also some things on the PTS so discussion board. Now, first, we're going to talk about this engine. First off, this is an exclusive engine so far that I know of. It's only exclusive for this vehicle. Now, if Saber doesn't change this will be the first time a North American truck gets the largest engine in the game at 270,000 torque. I actually went into the files, looked this up, and confirmed it is 270,000 torque. I'm not sure what the actual values are. Sorry, that's my Discord, because we're going to actually go to Discord in a second. I'm not sure what the engine properties are with damage. It's gonna be that's something I'm gonna have to lean upon some other people to find out that information, but so far it looks like it has a damage capacity of 250, so I don't think it's that great, but it's not that bad either. I'm not sure what the threshold is of becoming a damaged engine. That's something we'll have to figure out as well. What's up, District? Welcome in. No, we're not PTS run. We're actually, I'm going to do a little bit of PTS, just like driving around, and then I'm going to jump back and do my gameplay. Another thing I do want to mention is the properties on this vehicle for its balance. But first, I need to talk about its crane being not a North American crane. I think this is going to change. All these things are kind of subject to change, so I don't think I'm too worried about that. Something I am a little bit concerned about is pending this vehicle's engine does not change and has a 270,000 torque engine. As we know from our Tatcha Force review, when you don't have diff lock and you have all that power, you're going to have power that's going to bleed off to wheels, and other wheels are not going to spin because you don't have your diff lock engaged. This might be a vehicle that shines in low gears, kind of like all the Tatras, because they all have switchable features. As you guys know, you've seen it in the videos, you just bleed power. And this might be a vehicle that might be a little bit more slow paced. It also has a terrible turning radius, as I've heard. Those are all things I need to look at in more detail as well. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen if they do switch this over to a always on diff. This thing might be really good. However, I think something that can get you by, that I think it might have a better performance than the Tatcha Force, is because of its gearbox options being more relaxed. When I mean more relaxed, I mean it's a little bit, the rev caps aren't so restrained with the advanced special gearbox. So essentially, you could get this thing into gear, throw it into high gear, and as you guys know, high gear and auto essentially allows you to turn all your wheels. If you have it in low, you need diff lock to turn all your wheels. So definitely I think the high range gearbox might be an option if this does not change. I will probably run the off-road, just that's how I am. I'm a slow pace guy. So that could be a little bypass, could be a little blessing there if they don't change the diff lock, but that's just my personal opinion there. Now I'm going to go in and 1 second, district, I will get to you. I'm going to go in here and you're going to see different screens pop up. I'm going to try to show you guys some stuff here, so just bear with me. All right, so now, as you can see, I'm playing it in window mode because I want to stream in 1080 and stuff like that, and also play in 1080. Now, here is some collision models for each truck. Now, as you can see, the blue is actually where you actually have collision when you hit something. So, as you can see, for the Zix 566 Alpha, they are pretty good. The clearance looks really good. The lowest part on this vehicle is actually the little step here, so that looks kind of good. This is from the PTS discussion, and as you can see, here's another model with the collision mesh. So this is going to be where you're going to have issues. If you do have issues, it looks like its clearances are pretty good for a smaller truck, but here's something I wanted to bring to the table here concerning the Dairy. Its collision models are like this, and as you can see, these big blue boxes are where it's going to have collision. So while its front approach angle is very steep, and if you draw that down, you almost can see it's going to hit its tire and then bump itself up. Honestly, it doesn't look that way. There's actually hitboxes in here for these stairs. I don't know what these are. You can see the hitbox comes down here for the struts here. I believe those are the struts. So yeah, the axles are gonna strike. Here is the hitbox here, so you don't have a ton of ground clearance actually, even though from the front angle it looks pretty good. This is all from the PTS server, so thank you, McKillum, for sharing that, and other guys as well. These are just some things I wanted to briefly show there. Then next, what I wanted to show is, we're going to talk about weights of these vehicles. So, Zix 566 Alpha is 7.2 tons. It's the same as the Zix 5368, same as the Stap 310 Echo. Let's see where its actual weight properties are. So its weight properties are, there's more weight actually in this cabin. I don't know how this is going to act in game opposed to just looking at this model. So like if I'm looking at just at this right now, I'm probably thinking this might be a tippy truck. But from what I've been seeing and what I've been hearing from people that have driven it, they're really liking it. So this could be another, I don't know, could be a tale of, you know, the Step 39331 Pike that has a little bit of weight in its cab but still seems rather stable. So this could be something. But it's not too heavy of a truck here. Probably one of the lighter in this class. Now, moving on to the Dairy Special. Gotta go up a little bit, sorry. Moving on to the Dairy Special. Dairy Special, as you can see, weighs the exact same as the Dairy Longhorn 4520 Pacific P16. So it is a super heavy vehicle. If it has, so it's going to gain a lot of traction. I'm not sure how wide its wheels are, if they have any type of special properties with width like the Zix 605R. If they do, it's going to give you better performance off-road. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the properties of this weight distribution as well, and that is my next point here, which is actually looking at the weight distribution. So this is kind of where I was reflecting on my time in the military, actually interacting with these vehicles, loading them on jets. So something that this vehicle has, it is a 25 ton. This is in kilograms, by the way. So you have a lot of mass here in the truck, and then you have a significant amount of mass in the bone cabin. Now, it's not more than the truck weight, I get it, but still, this is kind of how the Tatra Force was, I believe. And while the Tatra Force I still believe is a stable vehicle, there are times where I don't think it's as stable as the Phoenix because of its weight distributions. So here's something that I actually wanted to show you guys. This is where I really start to nerd out here. Now, I'm going to go into some pictures here, and I'm going to show you guys some images. Now, on this picture here, this is loading a vehicle onto the C-17. Now, on my video, I mentioned that you could load these side by side. You cannot. This vehicle, the LMTVs can be loaded side by side on a C-17 cargo jet. This gentleman is loading this on the ramp center line. Now, these, I'm gonna have to move my cursor here, but right here, you'll see this T mark. That's a little flag, or duct tape. And then you'll see duct tape pieces by each tire. These are called axle weights. Now, this right here, this is where the center of balance is longitudinally on this vehicle. So I'm gonna take my cursor away. You can see it right there. What they do is they put an arrow on either side of that T, and that is where the start of that center of balance lies. So something that's very, very important with moving cargo in the military is, from my experiences, these have to be super precise, because if they're not, and the weight and balance is off on this aircraft when it takes off, it will crash. Weight and balance is very, very huge in aviation. It's different than just hauling on semi-tractors and stuff like that, and on ground hauling. This is air freight. So this stuff has to be extremely precise with weighing, finding the center of balance, and then also sometimes they'll have these, this is actually them loading it on a C-17. I couldn't find any placards on here. Now, this one here is actually where it's interesting. You can see here is the center of balance point on this particular vehicle. Now, this one is a little bit farther back, as you can see, because it has this tank on the back. So that actually has been slid in longitudinally toward the aft of the vehicle. Here's the axle weights here, and then they should be denoted somewhere here. Other things they do when you ship air freight out. This is I forget what tail that's from. What they'll do is they'll put almost like a target on this vehicle, and that'll show you the vertical center of gravity. They do this a lot whenever we haul helicopters, Humvees, stuff like that. So they usually sometimes do this. I haven't seen any pictures on these sites yet, but these are some pictures of them moving HEMTTs onto aircraft. This is actually a C5, or actually not C5, I think it's Antonov. But yeah. So when I found out the center of gravity issues that was in the game files, I'm not with it. Actually, to be quite honest, the center of gravity point, if I go back to my actual, I think -9 in the military, I believe that center of gravity point lies along this this fender right here. Because as you know, the engine is here, so that is going to increase your vertical center of gravity upward, right? Because you have weight that's higher, but also the frame of the truck weighs way more than the engine. So I think that vertical center of gravity, if I do remember well, is right around this fender. So that's where I think it lies. However, what the game is suggesting looks like it's a lot higher than that. It looks like it's actually probably here, because the engine is literally sitting here, right up here in the cab. So yeah, those are some things I wanted to bring to your guys' attention. And then yeah, let's see here. Let me go back to the actual game. Close this out. Had to nerd out there for a second. Let's go back to the other scout here, because I want to talk a little bit about this. Now, also, actually I need to go back into this other screen, because we're going to talk about this engine here. Because as you guys know, this does have a brand new engine called the IMZ 6370. Now, from myself looking in the game files, it looks like I mentioned prior to this that I would use this engine if it had better damage properties than the TA240, because as we know, the TA240 only can take 60 damage before it's considered a damaged engine. And this is where we will actually look at some files here. If I can find my spreadsheets, let me actually pull them back up here. All right, so we will pull up the TA240. Sorry, I have multiple things going on here because I have a 1080p image set on my screen for streaming purposes, but my screen is actually 1440, so I'm just moving things around, so I apologize. Stick with me here. Now, this engine is the TA240, as we know, is 185,000 torque. It can take 50% of this value here before it comes damaged, okay? And that is when all these things start to kick in. Your consumption multipliers, losing power, okay, it operates at 60% here. Okay, now The engine that is currently in this vehicle here, I will show you. Here's the IMZ 6370. It is at 190,000 torque. So it's a new engine. It has more power than the TA240. Indeed. Okay. However, it only has 90 durability total. I don't know what the percentage is going to be. If they're going to give it a good percentage, like a 70%, even if they do give it a 70%, I think that might drop it sub 60 durability to become damaged. So here's the issue I see with this. I think it's great that you give it 5,000 more power. I don't think it's a huge step, because as you can see, all these engines prior to the TA240 have better damage properties, and then the TA240 is a significant boost in power, but you're trading durability and threshold. Okay, let's go back to the game now. But first, let's go down here. Do I even have this other engine? Oh, here's the Darius engine right here. The GB8V 3500 Tango. Like I said, it has 270,000 torque, as is in the PTS files. So it's listed to be the #1 engine in the game currently. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully they add these to the Pacific trucks. I don't know. It probably won't happen, but those are that's just wishful thinking there. All right, back to the game. Now, something that I think that poses an issue with that is people love to go fast on this game, right? And that is cool and all. It's a cool gameplay style if you love going through terrain at a fast pace. I believe Phase 8 and even Phase 9 is actually going to be more favorable to do that stuff, to fast travel with, trailblazing trucks. However, here's the issue. If you put even the TA240 on here, as I just explained, the damage properties, if you damage it enough, it's going to be damaged. Yeah, you're not going to be in a good place. Especially having 150 liters capacity, or I'm not sure what that actually translates to in gallons. So here's another issue we found. With the IMZ 6370, thank you for that follow, Mr. Killywiggle. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Welcome in. So with this engine right here, yes, you're going to have 5,000 more torque than the TA240. However, you only have 90 damage tolerance total. TA240 has 120. So if you plan on trailblazing, I'm not sure what the actual percentage value the engine becomes damaged, but if you're flying around the map on this thing and you start colliding into stuff, you're going to have a pretty rough time unless you can repair yourself and you have setups like that. But that's just my 2 cents. Other than that, I think removing this little kit here might give you a chance to have the crane and the small sideboard bed. Even they might put a low saddle on here. Who knows? That would be kind of cool. But those are just some things that I found and I wanted to just bring to you guys' attention. So hopefully you guys found this enjoyable, and hopefully you guys like this. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Hopefully some things change. Hopefully some things don't. And we'll see how it goes. But for the guys watching on YouTube, stay upright and have a blessed day. We'll talk to you guys later.